Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Hope you're doing well on this fine Monday as we approach the end of September. We approach the end of week 3. Obviously, I have a game tonight on Monday Night Football for fantasy football situation. We've approached the end of fantasy baseball. I've gotten multiple people over the last, 12 or so hours leaving thanks in the Discord room over at FantasyGuru.com for helping them to fantasy success in 2025. Some head-to-head champions being crowned. So congratulations to all of you that had that success, and we're happy that we could be a part of it over at fantasyguru.com. Again, I'm Ray Flowers of FG. Yes, we're still doing baseball. I'll have an article up today, a Rays Ramblings piece looking at pitching for the rest of the week. As Rubby17 said, happy baseball championship Monday. You too, Rubby. Congratulations. One of the folks in the Discord that had that success. Appreciate you, Rubby. Thanks for being with us all season long, being here on the show, all that kind of good stuff. Again, we'll have an article up for those of you still playing Roto or even in a head-to-head finals. Maybe it's a 2-week head-to-head final. Maybe you go into the final week of the season. We'll have an update on pitching today. Tomorrow, we'll spend half the show talking baseball. We'll do the same thing on Thursday and Friday. Today, it's a Monday. We used to do all baseball Monday. Now we're into all football Mondays because of the fact that obviously we're into the 2025 football season. So what we do on Mondays is I talk for about an hour, kind of go game by game, team by team, give some fantasy hot takes, if you will, about all the Sunday action. So we'll get to that in a second. Again, Ray Flowers, this guy right here, you might be wondering where my body is. I'm wearing a green Garfield shirt. I probably should have waited to do this until October, huh? Like my head's floating around. That's why it was supposed to be funny and cool. You can kind of see the Niners behind me. Yeah, you can tell. Head, green shirt. My body's still here. Don't worry, folks. I'm okay. I am a floating head, Anthony. You're right. Some people have said I'm a talking head, so it makes sense. Anyway, you can follow me Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all those places at the Ray Flowers. You can find me in the Discord room, fantasyguru.com, Monday through Saturday all day. Sometimes I dip in there on Sunday mornings, but basically I'm there all day, Monday through Saturday, answering all those questions you have for baseball or for football. I'm here with you Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. On Wednesday, Justin Fensterman hops in here and hosts the show because I jump over to SiriusXM, Fantasy Sports Radio with Jeff Manns. That show is Monday through Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm here with you 4 days a week. I'm here with Jeff 1 day a week over there on Wednesdays. What are we talking about on the show today? Well, let's throw it up on the screen. And yes, throw it up on the screen because those of you with us live can leave comments and questions at 3 places. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. Any of those 3 places. Watch live and leave comments like we've already thrown up on the screen if you would like. We also have the opportunity here on the show for you to go to FantasyGuru.com. Just click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. You can find all the shows on the Elite Plus network, including this one cataloged. You can also type in Fantasy Sports Daily wherever you listen to your podcast. If that's Apple iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube Music, you should be able to find Fantasy Sports Daily if you type it in there. As you can see there, that's the plan for the day. We're going to go game by game, talk about every one of those, both sides of things. Some unexpected things happening through 3 weeks of the season. This has been a very interesting start. We've had some ass-awful performances by teams, offenses. We've had some players vanish from offense, vanish from viability, if you will, here early in the season. We've had a lot of poor quarterback play, a lot of poor offensive play, actually, which has led to a lot of that. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But before we get to that, we talked about this last week. I'm going to throw it out there again today. I'm being told that this deal might go away today. Okay, so if you're interested, there's an opportunity through Monday at least. I don't know how much longer it's going to go. I heard it might end today. But for now, if you send a note to support@fantasyguru.com, or if you go to fantasyguru.com, you click the subscribe tab in the top right corner, go there, click on the 2 packages, DFS and wagering. When you go to pay, it'll take 50% off because we have a buy one, get one free. Buy DFS, we'll give you buy DFS, we'll give you wagering football for free. Buy betting football, we'll give you DFS football for free. I mean, come on, folks. 2 for 1. As I mentioned last week when I was talking about this, I think our DFS and wagering package price about as low as it gets in the industry, at least among the people that aren't doing it out of the garage. And now we're talking about doing a 2-for-1. So right now, at least through Monday, that might be it though. So if you want to get in, buy DFS, get wagering for free. Buy wagering, get DFS for free for football. Pretty damn good deal over at fantasyguru.com. All right, let's change things up. Let's go for it. Floating Head Flowers. Hey, there you go. I just made up a name. Floating Head Flowers. Yeah, look at that. All right, let's start things off here. The multiple teams got boat raced this week, and when the Panthers boat race you 30-0, as they did to the Falcons, you got big time problems. Looking at this Falcons offense, Bijan Robinson was fine, and that was really about it. I mean, I guess 5 catches for 55 yards for London's okay, and 4 catches for 44 yards is okay for Mooney. But those guys gave you 99 yards of offense on 19 targets. Penix didn't play great. The offensive line didn't play great. Even in a game where they were behind and trying to play catch-up. I mean, Michael Penix had 18 of 36 passes and threw 2 picks. Just didn't play very well. And, you know, I'm not a big Penix guy. I wasn't pushing him in the offseason. I was looking at him and thinking bottom level QB2, and that's kind of where we're at. Kirk Cousins came in through completed 5 of 7 for 29 yards. No one's expecting Cousins to take over this team, but the Falcons are 1-2, and, you know, they had one really nice week offensively, and then a couple of, you know, it's been a lot of Bijan Robinson, which is not surprising. He's a tremendous football player. They lose another game. Kirk Cousins coming in to start. It's a scenario that we talked about in the preseason. Let's see if it comes to fruition. On the other side of things, nothing really to take away from the Panthers. Sure, they still stink. They scored 30 points. They went 30-0. Good for them. They moved to 1-2. Who cares? Bryce Young threw for 121 yards. He had a rushing touchdown. Who cares? Chuba Hubbard lost a touchdown. He got tackled at the 1-yard line. He ran for 73 yards. Caught a couple of passes. He was the normal guy. There's just nothing here. You know, 4-yard run by touchdown, a 57-yard field goal, 11-yard interception return, pick 6, field goal. Dowdle had a 1-yard touchdown run, field goal. There you go. So they dominated the game, but from a fantasy perspective, nothing happened. About the only positive takeaway here is that you know, Ted McMillan, who only caught 3 balls for 48 yards, looks the part. He had 8 targets as well. That's a huge target share. That's 33% target share. About it. Not much to talk about despite that great victory. Now we have the Browns defeating the Packers 13-10. This was a surprising outcome here. This is a game filled with crappy offensive production on both sides. The Browns defense and the Packers defense, they're both legit. So it's not surprising that both offenses had some struggles here, but to the level they did yesterday, I mean, talking about the Packers here, you know, Josh Jacobs had 16 carries for 30 yards. Now, he caught 5 balls, so he did save his fantasy day a bit. Didn't get in the end zone, which is a shocking thing because he's basically gotten in the end zone for the last 2/3 of the NFL season going back to last year. But he didn't do anything. This team was supposed to be without Tucker Kraft. Surprisingly, his knee was okay. He was good enough. We heard doom and gloom when he got hurt. Was it Thursday? I think it was. He was going to miss the game, and there was going to be a serious knee injury. He played. So he played, didn't do anything. 3 catches, 29 yards. Matthew Golden, 4 catches for 52 yards. This offense is stuck in the mud. Difficult matchup on the road. But they scored 10 points, and they did nothing. Dontavian Wicks, who stepped in for Jaden Reed, who had that injury, 2 catches for 21 yards. Just nothing here. Nothing burger of an offense going right now for the Packers. On the Browns side of things, Kunchan Junkins was their only bit of offense. He had 94 yards and a touchdown. He also caught a pass. That's 19 touches. Dylan Sampson, who had that one nice game where, what did he catch? 8 passes early on. Barely saw the field. He is now the 3rd running back. It's Judkins, Ford, Sampson. For those of you that have Sampson on your team, unless you have Judkins, adios. I mean, this is, you know, if Judkins were to go down with an injury, Sampson and Ford are probably pretty even Steven in terms of touches, like we saw early in the season. But right now, I mean, just didn't see any snaps, didn't touch the football. Another guy who didn't touch the football was Jerry Jeudy, 1 catch for 17 yards. His season's gone in the toilet really quickly. Fannin, who everyone loves, fewer targets than Njoku, fewer catches than Njoku, fewer yards than Njoku, 3 catches for 25 yards, as I've said all along. I think a lot of people got way too excited about Fannin. he might end up being a usable tight end the rest of the way, maybe. But for those people that spent big money, or for those people that thought he was going to be an every week star, we saw, what can happen yesterday, as Njoku did lead the team in targets, in catches, and yards, though 7, 5 for 40. Shows you where they're at. I don't know how much longer Flacco's the quarterback. They just won a home game against the Packers. So, he's going to obviously start the next game here. But he hasn't looked very good this season. Not that it would be better off if they went to either of the two rookie quarterbacks here. But it'll probably happen at some point. And then we'll have to reassess the entire offense with the Browns. The Jaguars beat the Texans 17-10. Another game where let's give the defense credit. Sure. But, man, there's some crappy offense too. Just crappy offense all over the place here. On the Texans side of things, I mean, they brought a new OC in to fix this offense after what happened last year, and it looks worse than last year. I know the offensive line is struggling. We all know the offensive line is struggling. We get it. But we're now 0-3 with the Texans. I saw a graphic yesterday. Since 2000, teams starting 0-3 have a 0.9% chance to make the playoffs. Is the Texans' season already over? The numbers say their season's already over. I don't know. But what I do know is this offense is downright horrible. Nick Chubb didn't run for 40 yards. Woody Marks got really involved. They finally got rid of Dare Ogunbowale, so that's good. He's not a third guy getting in the way now. So it's Chubb with Marks as a support piece. Pierce was inactive, healthy again. So Marks is clearly the number 2 behind Chubb. But this offense, I mean, Nico Collins hurt his hand late. He caught 8 balls for 104 yards and a touchdown. The 50-yard touchdown, he wasn't covered. So, I mean, the one touchdown they had, it was blown coverage by the Jaguars. At this point, can you even start Stroud as a super flex guy? I mean, I've been doing it. I don't know. It's just bad, and there's really no sign. I mean, Christian Kirk came back yesterday, 8 targets out of the slot, 3 catches for 25 yards. This offense is broken, and it was broken in the second half last year. We hope things would be better this year. They got the new OC again. Same old story. It's just crap right now. On the other side of the thing, yeah, the Jaguars dropped 5 or 6 passes. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, supposed to get better with Liam Cohen, right? Now, he can't do anything about drop passes, but 20 for 40, an interception. He can't get the ball to Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas's entire game was one 46-yard catch. This week last week it was 1 or 2 catches on 8 targets. This week it was 2 catches on 6 targets. It's just not happening. Travis Hunter, who they traded up to draft and use him as a special player, offense, defense, all that, starting to see his defensive snaps really increase. But on offense, 2 targets, 1 catch, 20 yards, 21 yards. They're not using him on offense. They can't figure. Trevor Lawrence can't get it to Travis Hunter. He can't get it to Brian Thomas. Parker Washington had 11 freaking targets. Let me be very clear about this. When you've got an all-star level rookie, Brian Thomas, from last season, when you spent the number 2 pick in the draft on a wide receiver, Travis Hunter, and Parker flipping Washington is getting 11 targets, your offense is broken. It's just straight up. Washington dropped a couple passes yesterday, caught 4 balls for 34 yards. He turned 11 targets into 34 yards. So, I mean, here we go. We'll see. Liam Cohen was supposed to fix this. Is he all of a sudden a guy who can't coach? Or are things really as bad as we thought they could be? I mean, worse than probably we thought they could be with Trevor Lawrence. Is this really Trevor Lawrence? Jeff Mans has been very critical of Trevor Lawrence going back to last season. And with each passing game, that criticism becomes more and more accurate. Trevor Lawrence is slaloming right now, and there's plenty of time to change it. But he's slaloming to being one of the biggest healthy NFL quarterback busts of all time. We'll see how it goes, but nothing to see there with that game. Minnesota boat raced the Bengals. This was an obliteration. It was 48-10 on the Bengals side of things. Even garbage time couldn't help. Jake Browning played a poor game, threw a couple of picks. Everyone on the Bengals fumbled, and I'm only slightly exaggerating. Grandy, Pirine, Chase, Fant, and Brown all put the ball on the ground. Fant, Chase, and Pirine are the 3 fumbles that were lost. But they had 5 fumbles on the day. There were 2 interceptions thrown by Jake Browning. Woof. Jamar Chase still went 5 for 50. He gave you that baseline 10, which is not what you hoped for or expected. Things should get better for him. T. Higgins, 1 catch for 15 yards. Jeff Mann's also said this many times over the offseason. Why did the Bengals spend all this money to bring back T. Higgins instead of on their offensive line? Chase Brown, again, a lot of you out there, I think at fantasyguru.com had Chase Brown lower in our rankings than pretty much anyone industry-wide. Still had him as a running back too, but a lot of people had him as top 10 running back. It's not his fault. Okay, running backs are really at the mercy of their team, obviously, with the way the offense goes, the game flow, the offensive line, all this kind of thing. But 10 carries for 3 yards? What does Chase Brown have? Does he have 100 rushing yards yet? Let's pull him up real quick. Chase Brown, 47 carries, 93 yards. It's got to get better next week for the Bengals because it can't get worse. If it's worse, these guys are out of jobs. Like, that was awful. Now, it's in Minnesota against a solid defense on the road. Okay, but awful. On the other side, the Vikings, Jordan Mason stepped up with Aaron Jones being down with the injuries on the IR, as you're all aware. He's going to miss at least a month. Jordan Mason, 16 carries, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. Boom, everything you expected. Carson Wentz threw for a couple of scores and was solid, 14 for 20. Okay, this team scored 48 points, though. They had defensive touchdowns. They had return. Did they have a return? They had a return touchdown too, right? Maybe I'm losing my mind here. I'm reading it real quickly here. Yeah, I made that up. Just the return touchdown, or the interception return, 87 yards for Rodgers. But they scored 48 points, and other than Mason, Justin Jefferson, 5 for 75, kind of like Jamar Chase, had that floor game. Okay, we'll take 5 for 75. Vikings are 2-1. Okay, you got to get the ball to Justin Jefferson. And I mean, 7 targets on 20 attempts is over it's a 35% target share. It's huge. But it's 20 passes. If it's that and it's 38 passes, well, then to the moon, like we're expecting. A lot of these guys, we saw A.J. Brown break out yesterday. We're waiting for Justin Jefferson to break out. He's been okay. He's been fine. He was drafted as a top 5 pick in most drafts, at least top 10. He was drafted as everyone's wide receiver 1. He's been fine. We're expecting more from him. T.J. Hockenson scored his touchdown in the fourth quarter of a game that was already blown. It was 40-0. It was 41-10 at the time he scored his touchdown. 41-3 at the time he scored his touchdown. Excuse me. So it was as garbage time as he get. But he did catch 5 balls for 49 yards and a touchdown. So he finally showed up. Hopefully you didn't bail on him last week. Not a lot to take away here because, again, it was just utter destruction. Just utter destruction here by the Vikings. And again, I think that the takeaway is Carson Wentz looked good. Did he do great or no? He looked better than J.J. McCarthy had in his 2 games. That's fair to say. Pittsburgh defeated the Patriots 21-14, and the Patriots pulled a Bengals. The Patriots, Derek May lost a fumble. Antonio Gibson lost a fumble. Ramondre Stevenson lost 2 fumbles. So here we go. It's got to be Trevion Henderson time, right? Got to be Trevion Henderson time. He led the team with 11 carries yesterday. He also caught 3 balls, so he did lead the backfield with those 14 touches. After 3 fumbles by his running back mates, Trevion Henderson next game out figures to finally be the lead running back. There's been a lot of up and down here. The Patriots are 1-2. They just lost at home. I mean, it's Trevion Henderson time, right? In terms of the passing attack, Drake May went for 268 and 2. He also ran for 45 yards. He's really shaping up as we were hoping he would be, to be the guy you drafted as your quarterback 1 if you waited till the very end, or your second quarterback if you're a person that takes 2 quarterbacks. He's that guy that we had ranked, I don't know, I'm trying to remember, 13th for the season, something like that. Starting to look like a guy that you drafted at quarterback 20 that's going to have a chance to be a QB1. Now, that does not mean he's supporting a lot of great fantasy performers. Hunter Henry was open all the time. The Steelers had a horrible time covering him yesterday. 8 catches for 90 yards and 2 scores. Absolutely fantastic day for him. Beyond that, nothing. The number 2 receiver on this team yesterday was Ramondre Stevenson. None of the receivers are playing. They're all sharing snaps. None of the receivers are getting targets. They're all sharing targets. This is another one of those teams, kind of like the Packers, where it's just we're spreading the ball around week to week and let's try to win a football game. Okay. Stephon Diggs, horribly disappointing first. It's 3 games. Horribly disappointing first 3 games. Demario Douglas caught that 4th down ball and ran backwards. He turned 5 targets into 7 yards. Keyshawn Butte, 2 catches for 28 yards. Matt Collins was their leading receiver at the wide receiver spot with 4 catches for 27 yards. May's done great. Receiving core has been trashed to this point for the Patriots. On the other side of the thing with the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers did his best Carson Wentz. Isn't he better than Carson Wentz? 2 touchdown pass yesterday. He passed Brett Favre. He's 4th all-time. And that's great. This offense does not look good. And it's just, Rodgers can still make great throws, and he had a couple of those yesterday. He had a touchdown pass to Austin, which was a very nice throw. The touchdown pass to Metcalf was more Metcalf doing his Metcalf thing. But those 2 guys got in the end zone. Steelers did not have a single wide receiver or tight end catch 4 passes. The Steelers did not have a single player with 35 receiving yards. They won the game. They went to Foxborough. They won the game. Okay, and then they're 2-1, and they're back on pace and all that. But woof. DK Metcalf is living off the random touchdown. You spent $160 million for DK Metcalf, I think it was. He's 6'4", he's 230 pounds. He's faster than guys that are 6 foot, 200 pounds. And you're throwing him 4 or 5 targets a week. And it's all underneath stuff too. It's really weird. Get him the football. Aaron Rodgers, just throw. I know he's not a tactician like Devontae Adams, but throw the damn football to the one guy on your team that can make a difference as a pass catcher. Jaylen Warren with 23 touches. I never thought I'd see a game where Jaylen Warren was going to see 23 touches. Did he do anything with it? No, he didn't do anything. He didn't even run for 50 yards. Did catch 5 balls, so there's that. But he turned 23 touches into 80 yards. Yeah. But he clearly is the guy to own. Gainwell got a lucky touchdown. Warren is the guy to own. Caleb Johnson nowhere to be seen in the backfield for the Steelers. The Rams, the Eagles. The Rams, was it 26-7? Yeah, it was 26-7. Rams were up in this game. And the Eagles came back and won. Looked like the Rams were going to go to Philadelphia, beat the Eagles in their house to move to 3-0. Didn't happen. Furious late comeback for the Eagles. They won this football game. They moved to 3-0, 33-26 over the Rams. On the Rams side of things, Blake Corum, again, 8 touches for 53 yards on the ground. Nothing great, but he's had some nice performances here on limited touch counts the last couple of weeks. Clearly, the number 2 running back with this team, he's got that role. We were hoping / thinking would be Hunter. Does appear that Corum is the guy. We've adjusted the handcuff grid over at fantasyguru.com. Kyren Williams still got in the end zone, still at 100 yards from scrimmage, and still touched the ball 22 times. So let's not, I've seen a lot of this, Corum's role is growing and they're reducing the role of Kyren Williams. True in terms of snap count. But Kyren Williams touched the ball 22 times. So let's not get ahead of ourselves there. Matthew Stafford threw for a couple of touchdowns, 1 to Adams, 1 to Williams. Puka Nacua didn't get in the end zone, but he had 15 targets. He caught 11 balls for 112 yards. He'll be just fine. On the other side with the Eagles here, Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown, 4 touchdowns total because he had 3 rushing scores. They had to pass the ball late, and guess what? When they finally passed the ball, hello? McFly, hello? When they finally passed the ball, Mr. OC, they had success. Now, the Eagles normally win football games on the ground and with their defense. They don't have to open it up, much like the Buffalo Bills. They're just trying to win their 12 or 13 games this year. They're not concerned about leading the league in point scoring or anything like that. But this is another reminder that when the Eagles need to open up their offense, it's really good. It's been very frustrating through a couple of weeks because all they did was run the ball and win football games. Yesterday, they opened it up. Those 226 yards, 3 touchdowns for Devonta Smith. And as many teams don't do, Eagles are like this. So they had a touchdown to Dallas Goedert returning from his knee injury. He only saw 2 targets, right? So he scored his touchdown. It was 19 of 32 passes, or basically 2/3 of the passes going to Brown and Devonta Smith. Brown, 6 catches, 109 yards and a touchdown. Smith, 8 catches, 60 yards and a touchdown. When they pass, all the passes are going to the 2 wide receivers. Now, they're not going to have many games where they throw the ball 38 times. Not going to be a lot of games where Smith or Brown's catching 10 passes because they just don't throw it that much. But 6-109 and 1, 680 and 860 and 1, excuse me, for those two guys yesterday. Finally coming through for those people that were really getting disappointed. And I really hope that you didn't bench either one. By the way, Barkley, 46 yards on the ground, 4 catches for 9 yards. That's 22 touches for 55 yards from scrimmage. History says emphatically, coming off a bazillion touch season, Barkley touched the ball 483 times last year, I think, if you include the playoffs. History says emphatically 400 plus touch seasons. There's concern the next year. It says emphatically when a guy runs for 2,000 yards, there's pullback next season. Barkley will be fine. Will he? Yeah, he'll be fine. But he's not doing what he did last year, and hopefully he didn't draft him expecting that. Jets, Bucks. Bucks won this game 29-27. Pretty good football game, back and forth, everything like that. On the Jets side of things, I don't know what's going on here. Let me pull the news story because I saw it. It was just reported like an hour ago. Here it is. Let me pull it up. It was reported an hour ago. I didn't see the report yesterday. Maybe I missed it. If it came out yesterday, I'm sure it did. But Jets head coach Aaron Glenn, with his cool sideline dance after they scored yesterday, said that they will talk about as a staff who their quarterback is going to be. What the frick is going on? Why does everyone hate Justin Fields? If you're the Jets, you're 0-3. You're going to turn things over to Tyrod Taylor. Why? It doesn't make any sense. You're 0-3. I just said your odds of making the playoffs are 1% since 2000. Okay. You're going to turn it over to Tyrod Taylor to turn your season around. Even if he turns your season around, what's the end game? He's 47 years old and he's going to get hurt. He always does. You got to build, man, and you got to go with Justin Fields. So anyway, we'll watch that storyline. Fields obviously missed the game with the concussion. Taylor ran for 48 yards, threw for 197, 2 yards and a touchdown. Numbers that look just like Justin Fields. The problem for the Jets is they don't have anyone that can catch a pass, really, at the wide receiver position other than Garrett Wilson. He had 10 for 84 and a touchdown. No other wide receiver had 3 catches. No other wide receiver had 35 yards. They don't have a second receiver. I mean, Alan Lazard's out there scoring a touchdown late. Like, they don't have a second receiver. That's a problem. On the ground, Breece Hall didn't do anything. I don't see this offense and what happened yesterday and think that Tyrod Taylor should be starting over Justin Fields. Maybe I'm crazy, but continue to start Breece Hall. There'll be better days ahead. That was just a rough day yesterday. The Bucks got some problems. Offensive line's all beat up. Chris Godwin, there's conflicting reports. He could be back this week. We have no idea, though, if he's going to return this week. Mike Evans hurt his hamstring. We don't know how much, if any time, he will miss, but he is an aging player with a history of lower leg injuries. That's a concern. He did get in the end zone yesterday, even though he only caught 4 balls. Emeka Egbuka, 6 catches for 85 yards. Another strong effort here. Sterling Shepard's back in our lives, 4 catches for 80 yards. If it's Egbuka, Godwin, and Shepard, I guess we could be talking about Shepard this week off the waiver wire. Evans could be out. Godwin could be out. We could be talking about Sterling Shepard on the waiver wire. If it comes to that, and we'll get into that later in the week, if it comes to that, please be careful with your expenditure. It's a 1-week thing. Let's go 5, 10%, whatever, if it comes to that. I'm not saying it should come to that, but if it does. On the offense, on the ground, for the Bucks, 66 rushing yards for Bucky Irving. Yeah. But 29 touches. Yeah, buddy. 29 touches. Mr. White, Rashad White's just not, he got 1 ball. He's just not really part of this offense anymore through the air, at least. So Bucky Irving continuing to get it done. Massive workload. A big game is coming for him. All right, let's see. Well, I just lost my page. Let's get back to it. All right, here we go. Indianapolis, the Colts defeated the Titans. They moved to 3-0. The Titans fall to 0-3. I find this hilarious. As someone who has had Daniel Jones I had Daniel Jones on my Dynasty League team since I drafted him. So I had him for, 5 years. We then redrafted our Dynasty League. We talked about it here on the show. If you missed that and you want to see how I put my team together or whatever, go back, search, go to youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. go to the live tab at the top. Scroll down till you see the picture of Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. That's the episode we did it. I redrafted Daniel Jones. He's my third quarterback. 14 teams, 50 roster spots. It's only a 1 QB league, but still. I drafted Daniel Jones in the 33rd round. And this is with people that are quote unquote experts in the league. So no one looked at Daniel Jones and took him in the first, 400 picks? He wasn't. I've seen people now ask, I got a question last week. Someone said, I'm in a dynasty league. Should I trade a first round pick for Daniel Jones? I'm like, boy, life comes at you fast. I think a lot of people are getting way too ahead of themselves with this. Daniel Jones has been really effective to date, better than anyone could have expected, and he has helped lead this team to a 3-0 record, guiding a fantastic running machine, smooth offense, all this kind of stuff. Okay. He also threw for 228 yards and a touchdown yesterday, and that's way more in line with what you should be expecting from Daniel Jones versus big passing games. There was that game last week. I think he had 6 rushing yards, but 2 touchdowns. He'll use his legs, and there'll be some positive efforts there, absolutely. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay? What we do know from this offense, though, yesterday, Mr. Pierce, the wideout, he and Pittman run all the 2 wide receiver sets. Downs only comes in 3 wide receiver sets. Pierce went down with an injury. He hit his head. He's in the concussion protocol. It's at least his 3rd concussion as an NFL player. When you make that catch and you jump up to catch that ball and you're trying to hold on to it and you just go down and he bombed his head. I mean, I'm surprised more guys don't get concussed on that. But the bottom line is Pierce has had multiple concussions. Concussion knocked him out for an extended period of time last year. It is completely unclear how much time he's going to miss. Now, the assumption a lot of people make was, Josh Downs to the moon. Adonai Mitchell is the replacement for Pierce. Okay. So just because Pierce is out, if he's out an extended period of time, does not mean that it's Josh Downs to the moon. Downs is more of the smaller interior guy. He's not the guy lining up at the X or the Y outside. He's not doing that. Okay. So don't get wildly excited about Josh Downs in this offense because Pierce is out. Now, because Pierce is out, there are looks to go around and maybe more looks do go to Downs. Absolutely. But Downs is not the replacement for Pierce. The replacement for Pierce is actually Adonai Mitchell. On the Titans side of things, Chig Okonkwo, 5 catches for 66 yards. Welcome to the party, Chig. Alek Ayamanor didn't do much, 4 catches for 38 yards, but another touchdown. He's starting to look like the new Nick Westbrook-Akine for this team, right? A few more catches, but you get the point. A guy that is just scoring touchdowns every week. But this offense is just in bad shape right now. Pollard got in the end zone. Good for him. He touched the ball, 18 times. Good for him. 59 yards of offense. And this is what we've seen. He's getting all the workload. He's getting 18 touches a week, but doing nothing with it. The offense is stuck. The offensive line play is moderate. The play calling, I don't know. Cam Ward is a rookie quarterback, and he's struggling. And this is, this is what happens. Calvin Ridley, 1 catch for 27 yards on his 7 targets. Tyler Lockett if you're Tyler Lockett, and he was yesterday, I guess it was Ayamanor, sorry, because he had 4 for 38. Lockett had 4 for 37. If Lockett's your number 2 receiver, which statistically he was, even though he's not in real life, you've lost. It's just over at this point in his career, right? This offense is going to continue to struggle until Ward takes that next step. Could happen in week 4. It could happen in week 14. It could happen in week 2 next year. This is the issue you face when you play a rookie quarterback. So for those of us hoping for anything from the Titans offense right now, really tough to start anybody on this roster and feel good about it at all. The Raiders lost the game to the Commanders 41-24. Jaden Daniels was out. Marcus Mariota stepped in, and the Commanders still destroyed the Raiders. Geno Smith's numbers were good. 289, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Geno Smith did not play a good football game. This team really did absolutely nothing until this game was over. They scored 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter when it was 34-6 or whatever the hell the score was. I don't even remember. The game was over. So massive garbage time production for the Raiders. Trey Tucker, let's not get crazy about Trey Tucker, though he did go 8, 145, and 3. It's obviously his first 3 touchdown game in his career. I believe it's a career high in catches. It's his first 100-yard receiving game. He's a solid piece for an NFL team. He's no better than a wide receiver 6. So don't make the mistake of running out there because he had some huge effort yesterday. Jacoby Myers, 3 for 63. That's awful. 45 yards of that on the first quarter catch. Then he wasn't part of the offense. Brock Bowers, I know he's got the knee issue, but you're looking at this Raiders offense, and there's two guys that we were counting on in fantasy space. Myers will be fine. He'll catch his 85 passes. But we had Bowers and Genty. Bowers, 5 targets, 4 catches, 38 yards. Bowers has done nothing. Bowers has been Zach Ertz to this point. Hugely disappointing. And Ashton Genty's done nothing either. But I've seen a lot of concern with Ashton Genty. And this is another reminder. You can only do as a running back what your team allows you to do. Okay. Ashton Genty, game after game after game, he's getting like single-digit yards before contact. Like he's getting hit at the line of scrimmage or in the backfield all the time. Like I'd have to look this number up, and I'm guessing completely. Half his carries, he's getting hit at the line of scrimmage or behind it. I'm guessing, and I bet it's pretty accurate. 17 touches for 63 yards. Zamir White's involved. Laube's involved a little bit. Genty is still, seeing 17, 18 touches a week. He's still the number one guy in this offense, but they got to fix this offense. And until they do, they're probably going to be moderate efforts. Genty is going to have some big games this year. I still think he'd be a prime buy low. He's a hold on to if you have him, just be frustrated. I get it. Keep rolling him out there. But the Raiders just got to do a better job blocking. On the Commander side of things, Mariota had a touchdown pass. He had a rushing score as well. He did fumble, whole Marcus Mariota experience. But the Commanders won this game. Terry McLaurin hurt his leg. Doesn't seem like it's a big thing. 3 catches for 74 yards. If it was 3 catches for 75 yards, there would have been a touchdown. He got tackled at the 1-yard line. Not much exciting going on with the passing attack. On the ground, the starting running back was Chris Rodriguez. The guy who had the most carries was Chris Rodriguez. The guy who had the most rushing yards was Jeremy McNichols. He had a great touchdown run. He broke tackles. He ended up with 4 carries for 78 yards in the score. This guy's been around for years. He's never looked like he did on that touchdown run. I can tell you that as a running back. He's more of a third down pass catching back. Again, he only had 4 touches on the ground. As a pass catcher, 0 catches. So before you just run to the waiver wire and add him, it looks like it's Bill and Rodriguez kind of as the 2 lead guys. But if we have 3 guys involved like we did yesterday, we know how detrimental that can be in terms of trying to figure things out in the fantasy space. The Chargers beat the Broncos 23-20. And let's just say it. Here's another offense that, the Broncos are now 1-2. Bo Nix is not playing very well. He's just not playing very well. He, again, had 8 carries for 33 yards. So he's doing enough on the ground that it's making him a usable, second quarterback super flex guy. But the guy that was throwing for 2 touchdown passes every game down the stretch last year and looking really good, we haven't seen that guy this year. He's just not been consistent at all with this offense. Threw for 153 yards yesterday. He threw for 153 yards, and 118 of it went to Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton is the number one guy. I saw multiple people wanting to bench him in week 3. And I said to people who want to do that, you're benching Sutton, you're making a mistake. 6 for 118 and a touchdown. They need to be more consistent. They're not being consistent even with Courtland Sutton. He caught 1 ball last week, right? On the depth behind him, Marvin Mims, who we were all hoping for a breakout after that strong finish last year. Complete afterthought in this offense, 1 catch. He's just not involved in this offense. Troy Franklin, who we told you on the show here, who Jeff Mans told you on SiriusXM, was being overbid on last week after the 898 and a touchdown, or 889 and a touchdown, whatever it was. Yesterday, Franklin 2 catches for 8 yards. So hopefully you weren't the person that went out and spent 30% of your budget on Franklin. If you added him to be a wide receiver 6, as we said on the show, fine, cool. Should have been starting him this week with any level of confidence. And at least we got some clarity in the backfield. Beatty's starting to see his role regress. So we're getting more Dobbins with Harvey in support. At some point, Dobbins gets hurt. We'll be rolling if we have RJ Harvey on our roster. On the Charger side of things, obviously terrible news. The Achilles injury to Najee Harris. It's going to end his season. Hassan Haskins will become the backup to Amari Hampton, who I don't know if you're watching, the person out there that I gave this advice to, I think it was Saturday, someone said, hey, I need an upside play, and they listed like 4 players, and did I wish this into existence? I said, well, if I was you, I'd play Amari Hampton on the odd chance that Najee Harris gets hurt. Najee Harris did get hurt. Hampton 19 for 70 and 1 on the ground, also caught 6 balls for 59 yards. The window for trading low on Amari Hampton is officially shut. Amari Hampton is now back to being a top 20 running back, if not a running back 1. We'll see what this offense does because they have been really pass heavy to start. 47 more attempts yesterday for Justin Herbert, 11 targets to Keenan Allen, 10 targets to Quentin Johnston, and 7 to Ladd McConkey. We talked about this last week with Tyler Beaker on Thursday and Russell Clay on Friday. I wouldn't have drafted Ladd McConkey where he got drafted. He certainly shouldn't have been drafted as a wide receiver 1. We said that all off season. I think, again, he was another guy we were lower on than the industry over at fantasyguru.com. The addition of Keenan Allen, I mean, Ladd McConkey's catching 4 or 5 balls for 50 yards, and you spend a third-round pick on him. That's tough. Quentin Johnston, 8 catches for 89 yards to lead the way. Quentin Johnston? Really? Got him in a couple of leagues, grabbed him in the 14th round kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, that's paying off so far. It's only been 3 games. But we have to watch how much passing versus running are they going to do. Again, way more pass heavy than we thought have the Chargers been. Talking about getting boat raced, Seattle beat the Saints 44-13, and it wasn't even that close. I think the gap at halftime was like it was either the largest gap or the second largest gap in Saints history. They were down 38-6 at halftime against the freaking Seahawks. Like, not against the Bills, not against the Ravens, the Seahawks. This offense is terrible. The Saints are now 0-3. Spencer Rattler hit 28 of 39 passes, which in theory is really, really good. For 218 yards and a touchdown and a pick. He can't complete passes downfield. He just can't. Everything is underneath. Yet somehow, despite everything being underneath, nothing is going to Alvin Kamara. He had, 3 targets yesterday? 2 targets again yesterday. So we can all get excited about Juwan Johnson, who had another 6 catches for 51 yards. But the problem is Juwan Johnson is now getting the workload we're used to seeing for Kamara, while Kamara is getting the workload we're used to seeing for Johnson. Spencer Rattler's not throwing it to Alvin Kamara. And if Alvin Kamara is not catching 4 or 5 passes a week, this ain't happening. Yesterday, 18 carries for 42 yards. So Kamara owners, not much you can do now. You can't trade him. He's still got a chance to be a running back too this season, but distressing. The lack of involvement in the passing attack. Speaking of being involved in the passing attack, Chris Olave, 10 catches for 57 yards, 14 targets. Chris Olave is, let's pull this up. I was going to say he's averaging 11 targets a game for 51 yards. Let's see what he's got. I'm guessing here. He is averaging 12 targets a game for 55 yards. Almost had it. 12 targets a week for Chris Olave. 55 stinking yards. I mean, he's scoring 13 points a week in a PPR. There you go. It's working. It's usable. I get it. But yikes. On the Seahawks side of things, again, sheer domination here. Returns for touchdowns, short touchdowns on the ground, long touchdowns in the air. Everything was happening yesterday. Kenneth Walker got in the end zone a couple of times with Charbonnet out. They're not running the ball very well, and this is really surprising. The new OC, the new system and everything that's in place here. Seattle's 2-1. And again, Kenneth Walker did score 2 touchdowns yesterday, but he averaged 2.4 yards a carry. He had that one nice game where it was, 13 for 108 or something like that. But both Charbonnet and Walker are struggling to get 3 yards a carry in this offense. They've got to fix that because they're not going to win games. They're not going to score 40 points ever again, not running the football. They can't depend on Sam Darnold being as clean as he was yesterday. He only had 4 incompletions, 2 touchdown passes. They need to figure out why this running game that should be averaging 4.2, 4.5 yards a carry is struggling to average 3 yards a carry. Jackson Smith-Njigba only saw 6 targets, but in the sign of, hey, I'm arrived as a wide receiver 1 in the NFL, he still had 5 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. Horton had a return touchdown. He also had a receiving touchdown. Cooper Kupp still played a ton. Still the number 2 guy behind JSN, but Horton is making a case to be added to a waiver wire again. Like Troy Franklin last week, we're talking wide receiver 6 stuff. But he's making a case to be added to rosters if you're in a deeper league. Chicago defeated Dallas 31-14. The Cowboys were lost as soon as CeeDee Lamb went down. He played 7 snaps. As soon as he went down with an ankle injury, this game was over. Dallas had no chance to win. I saw a comment here. Someone used him in DFS. Where was it? It was way up here earlier. Oh, where is it? Here it is. Ethan. If only I didn't start Lamb in DFS, my total winnings at 50 cents would have looked a lot better. Well, I chose to use CeeDee Lamb in a one-and-done scenario. Not as bad as DFS, I would assume, Ethan, but same thing. I totally got you on this one. Early reports are good that Lamb thinks he can play next week. They're also saying high ankle sprain. Those two things don't go together. Oh, look, I have hands, even though I have no neck. Ah. So we'll see with Lamb. They need to obviously get him back out there to have anything going on with this offense. This offense was Jake Ferguson and Jake Ferguson and Jake Ferguson. He ran 29 routes and he had 14 targets. It's almost a target every other route. That's impossible. 13 catches for 82 yards. Great. Winner. He will have another large volume of pass attempts his way if CeeDee Lamb is out. George Pickens had a ball bounce right out of his hands. George Pickens still went 568 and a touchdown, so he paid off in the fantasy space. Javonte Williams, 15 touches, of which 5 were catches. Didn't really do much, but had another solid day. They just need CeeDee Lamb back for this offense to work. On the Bears side of things, Caleb Williams stinks, right? Maybe not. Maybe he's pretty good. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 298 yards yesterday. He played a very good football game, slung it all over the field, and was very successful. Only threw 28 passes. Luther Burden had 3 catches for 108 yards and a touchdown. Now, be careful with Luther Burden, because Luther Burden still played like half as many snaps as Olamide Zacchaeus yesterday, and he still only played a third of the snaps of Odunze and Moore. I think he had 17 snaps. So the numbers were there for Burden, but he only played 17 snaps yesterday. So don't get crazy here with his outlook. Odunze didn't do much, but still went 362 and 1. DJ Moore did even less, but he went 421 and 1. They're trying to get more involved. He also had 3 carries. Like, they're trying to get more involved, but for some reason, it's just not happening right now. And again, he got in the end zone, so, but it's just 7 touches, 28 yards. Clearly, Odunze has passed DJ Moore at this point. Those people that took DJ Moore as wide receiver 11, wide receiver 15, whatever it was, it's going to be a lot of, hey, he better catch 89 passes this year because he's only going to get 902 yards and 6 touchdowns, right? So hope that can happen. It still can happen. It's a long year. Someone can get hurt. Things could change, all that kind of stuff. But really disappointing start for DJ Moore. Speaking of getting hurt, we're still waiting word on the hip of Loveland. We'll see how that goes moving forward. But finally, DeAndre Swift, DJ Swift. I made up a guy. DeAndre Swift didn't do anything. Did catch 3 balls. He had 16 touches again. This team has just not gotten effectively going on the ground. They got to pick that part of their game up here moving forward if they want to continue the success they had yesterday. They moved to 1-2, did the Bears. 2 more games to discuss before we wrap things up here on a Monday. This is what we do on Mondays. We blast through all the games. Remember, Jeff Mans will do this on the SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio Show. That's the Elite Sports Show, Monday through Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So an hour after we end here, head over to SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio for Jeff Mans' show. I'm doing an hour here. Jeff will do 3 hours of this on his show. The Cardinals fell to the Niners 16-15. The Niners won right at the end with the field goal. Pinheiro, yay, or all off the field, and everyone's excited. And, he's the best of all time after, starting his career with the Niners slowly. Bottom line is here, the Niners won a football game. Mac Jones injured his knee. He was really having a very difficult time moving around. There's a lot of hope that Brock Purdy will be able to play this week because they might need him to play anyway, because I don't know if Mac Jones is going to get there before we get to the Niners. The Cardinals, they just stink. Kyler Murray, I don't know. I've said my piece with Kyler Murray, so I'm not going to, belabor that point. This is why you handcuff. Do you handcuff? And I know you don't. This is why you handcuff. Poor James Conner, his ankle, bad scene, right? Everyone knew it at the time. Season's over. Trey Benson to the moon. DeMarcado's likely to be the number 2. I guess Michael Carter's floating around in the practice squad or something, but DeMarcado's likely to be the 2. Trey Benson's getting 18 touches a week in this offense. So hopefully you handcuff Conner. The offense doesn't work through the air. Marvin Harrison led the team with 44 yards. He caught 3 balls. He did drop a ball that was right in his hands. One of the worst drops, hopefully the worst drop of his career. And one of the worst drops you'll see. It was a absolutely brutal lollipop throw that was right in his hands. That didn't help. But no one with 45 receiving yards. McBride got in the end zone to save his day, 5 catches, but no. Nothing happening with this offense. Niners, nothing really happening with their offense either. Juwan Jennings was a late scratch in this one. Not late, it wasn't Sunday. We heard Saturday night, I guess. But he wasn't able to play, so Ricky Pearsall saw 11 targets, caught 8 balls for 117 yards, had a really nice game. Kendrick Bourne caught 4 balls. I mean, you're looking at this offense. They were running out there for significant snaps yesterday. Sky Moore and Mark Valdez-Scantling. Like, Ayuk is down and Jennings is down. They're without their top 2 wide receivers. They're without George Kittle, who's arguably their best football player, right? And they moved to 3-0. I will say this. I am super impressed that they're 3-0. Do they deserve it? Are they Super Bowl bound? No. But if they can somehow, we've seen this happen a lot. Purdy's out. Their quarterback is out. Their all-pro tight end is out. Their all-star level wide receiver is out. The guy that caught 75 passes last year in support of that, he's out. How many teams can lose quarterback 1, tight end 1, wide receiver 1, and wide receiver 2 and be 3-0? So I will give it to the coaching staff here. But really the only thing they got going on offense is Christian McCaffrey, who still can't get in the end zone, who still can't do anything on the ground. That's a concern. We were talking earlier about the multiple teams like Seattle was the last one we talked about. McCaffrey, 3.1 yards a carry. Like, there's not much happening on the ground, and they're going to have to fix that. But he caught 10 balls for 88 yards. So he had 23 fantasy points, and he didn't do anything if you're in a PPR setup. Finally, the Chiefs beat the Giants. It was a 99.9% lock the Chiefs were going to win this game. They did. They didn't do anything in this game in that 22-9 victory. Pacheco ran for 45 yards. He had 11 touches. Hunt ran for 34 yards. He got in the end zone. He had 11 touches. There's nothing to be found or gleaned from the backfield. Can't use anybody with the Chiefs. The receiving core, Thornton caught 5 balls for 71 yards and a score, and he had 9 targets. Led the team in targets, catches, yards, and he had the touchdown. Xavier Worthy's still not playing. Obviously, Ray Rice is still out. The offense dramatically changes with Worthy and Rice. Dramatically. But for now, this offense is just not good. It's just not. And they beat a team they should have beat yesterday, and who cares? And, that's all the Chiefs care about. 1-2, though, all right? Travis Kelce, 4 catches for 26 yards. You would think at some point, and I know it's the regular season and they're just trying to make the plays, but you would think at some point that we're going to get a 9-catch, 90-yard touchdown game from Kelce because there's no one else there. Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquise Brown, Tyquan Thornton, we got Travis Kelce scoring single-digit PPR points. Really disappointing start for Travis Kelce. On the Giants side of things, Cam Scatterboot came into the game as everyone's, hey, he's taking over the backfield. He wasn't. Until Tyrone Tracy hurt his shoulder that caused him to miss the rest of the game. Scatterboot was barely on the field. So it was really interesting how this was going. Tracy was averaging 4 yards a carry. He'd caught a couple passes. This game started out with Tracy was the lead running back of the Giants. It wasn't Scatterboot. Tracy goes down with the shoulder injury, and then it's all Scatterboot all the time. He ran for a touchdown. He led the team as a receiver, 6 catches for 61 yards. He's in the flex conversation for a bad offense. He's in the flex conversation in week 4. In terms of the pass catching, please tell me you didn't fall for Wayndale Robinson. We talked about this last Monday on the show. We talked about it throughout the week with the guys that come on and have discussions. Jeff Mann's talked about it all. 1 catch for 26 yards. Come on, man. This offense is not good, but even more disappointing than Wayndale Robinson because, again, you shouldn't have been starting him. Malik Neighbors had the worst game of his career, 2 catches for 13 yards. The let's replace Russell Wilson talk is starting to get much louder. People starting to think, let's go to Jackson Dart. Not like that's going to fix anything, really. But the Giants are 0-3. I have to assume Wilson's still starting for this team in week 4. I don't know how much better, again, things will be when they go to Jackson Dart, but the start of this season is starting to make it look like Russell Wilson, despite that 450-yard, 3-touchdown game, starting to make it look like Russell Wilson's time as a starter for the Giants is going to be pretty short in 2025. Let's see some of these comments here in the chat room. And remember, you have one more day at least. I'm not sure if it extends much past today. But if you buy NFL DFS, you get NFL wagering free. If you buy NFL wagering, you get NFL DFS free. It's 2 for 1. Send a note to support@fantasyguru.com or just click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. It's over here. In the top right corner, click on that. Put both of them in your cart. When you go to pay, you'll get the 50% discount. Check it out. That's a phenomenal discount right now for those people. It's week 4. You have a ton of the season left to make all kinds of money and have some fun with that product. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. Ethan, we talked. Everyone's talking about baseball versus football. Yeah, baseball versus football. A lot of discussion. Winning baseball leagues is harder to win in football leagues. Entire fields are ready to step in. I've got Ibuka plus Godwin on the IL, according to Angelo. I don't like this. I've said this an awful lot. Wide receiver teammates, not a good thing. Running back, wide receiver teammates, not a good thing. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, same team, not a good thing. Okay. If I had Godwin and Ibuka, Angelo, I would look to make a trade. You're not doing it now because, again, we're not sure when Godwin's back. But when Godwin returns and he's, getting his 5 catches for 59 yards, then make a decision. Do you want to trade Ibuka or Godwin? We don't want to be running both those guys out there on a weekly basis. Timothy K, thoughts on Tez Walker worth a bench stash in 14-man leagues? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There has to be better options out there on the waiver wire for you, Timothy, than Tez Walker. That's Devontae Walker. For those people that don't know, I'm pulling up his numbers here. Devontae Walker in 2 games has played 13 snaps on offense. Yeah, I scored 2 touchdowns last week, sure. He's played 13 snaps. He's not part of this offense. This offense hasn't worked. Remember, they'll get Isaiah Likely back at some point. At some point, maybe tonight. At some point, they'll remember that they, got Mark Andrews and they'll start to get some more balls to wide receiver. They've had a really wonky start in terms of their offense. And that sounds funny. We know Derrick Henry's going to dominate, and he largely has to this point. We know that Zay Flowers is going to be utilized on a weekly basis, and he has to this point. But that's really been it on the offense. DeAndre Hopkins almost scored 2 touchdowns last week, got in the end zone once. Another time he was tackled at the 1-yard line. He played 10 snaps. He played 9 snaps. DeAndre Hopkins has scored a touchdown in 2 straight games. He has played 26 snaps. Like, these guys just aren't even – it's not even that Walker and Hopkins aren't really involved in the offense. They're not on the field. So, no, we're not picking him up. No, we're passing on him, Timothy. Mark C, I need a Hail Mary for Fantasy Baseball Championship. My bats have gone cold. Do you have any hot hitters that I can grab over the final week? Mark, I have no idea who's available in your waiver wire. No possible way for me to know that. I don't know your league. I don't know your setup. I don't know anything about your league, so I can't answer the question. What I am doing here is I'm pulling up the last 2 weeks. I'm pulling up the stats real quickly here. Let's see if there's any names that pop that might be somebody. I would say Dalen Lyle, but he got hurt over the weekend, so we can't go his way. Caleb Durbin is an option for you. He's a multi-position guy on the infield. He might be somebody that's on the waiver wire. Depends on your league size and all of that. Let's further down. Harrison Bader has slowed a little bit here the last couple of days, but he's been fantastic. Harrison Bader's probably been added because of the fantasticness. Spencer Horowitz only hitting 250 the last week, so it depends on your league scoring as well. Last 2 weeks, hitting 250. But he's got an almost 400 WOBA. He's got a 385 on base percentage. He's been white hot at the dish. Kobe Mayo is recently, I actually added him in Tout Wars over the weekend. Kobe Mayo's actually picked up things on the offensive side. He might actually be usable, and I'm sure he's on the waiver wire across the land. JP Crawford hit a grand slam, so that inflates his numbers. But he's hitting 290 with a 380 WOBA the last 2 weeks. He's an option for you potentially. Thomas Sagasi of St. Louis, who is now playing every day because of the injury to Mason Wynn. He's an option. Nate Eaton in the field of the Red Sox. He is somebody that I added on Tout Wars as well. He's also another option. So hopefully some of those names work out for you, Mark. David P. says the following. Your thoughts on Benson? Will he be a running back 1, 2, or 3? Thank you. Benson was one of my favorite. If I'm going to play the game incorrectly and not handcuff my guys, Benson was one of my favorite guys I'm just going to target if I didn't have Connor. Interestingly enough, in the SiriusXM Host League, where I drafted Connor, Jones, Benson, Mason in rounds 6 through 9, and we talked about that on the show, I've lost both the number 1s, but I had both the number 2s. So now Mason and Benson are starting every week, and there's no problem. Handcuffing works, folks. Benson's a running back 2, but he's a guy that I'm starting every week. He's in my lineup every week, David. Ethan, Lamb in the ones game opinion will hurt. Yeah. It hurts everyone, Ethan. You got that right for sure. Mark C, I'm with you. Cardinals and Kyler Murray just disappointing. They blew it. Yeah, and I don't know, Mark. Excuse me. Sorry, everyone. I don't know how long you've been around, Mark, with me, but I said when Murray was going through the process of being drafted, no. I saw him interviewed by what's his name? From ESPN. I'm drawing a total blank on his name. I'll think of it in a few minutes if I don't. Anyway, I've told the story many times. I've been out on him the whole time, and again, he's always ends up as quarterback 11. But I'm just not a fan. Angela, it wasn't Wendell's fault. The coverage was good, and Russ sucked. Yes, and no. Not Wendell's fault, but he's also not catching 140 yards of passes ever again. He's going to catch 5 passes for 51 yards, for 42 yards, for 39 yards. He's going to score 9.6 to 11.1 PPR points 80% of the time. Is what he is. And now they can go to Jackson Dart, and maybe there's a more consistent floor, but he's just catching 5 passes for 50 yards every week. That's just what he is. Drake Baldwin and Hassan Kim. Kim's a good one. Angelo Baldwin's got to be owned by now. But Kim's a good one. He has been performing better since he's gone to Atlanta. Absolutely there. Rubby17, another Hassan Kim. So there we go. Everyone's trying to help out there. I really appreciate that. And then Jericho Y says, you think this week and going forward starts the Marion Hampton show, especially with Najee out, or will they go back to passing? Jericho, rewind. I already went through this whole scenario. I went game by game. Go back to the Chargers game. To answer your question, yes. And it's something we talked about earlier in the show today. So check it out. You can always listen to the show at youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, which is where you leave your comment. Just rewind things, find the game for the Chargers. You can go to fantasyguru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. You can find the show there. You can go to Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. You can type in Fantasy Sports Daily to your podcast network. You can also go to facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ or Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. So there you go, everybody. Check it out. Go over to fantasyguru.com one more day at least for that buy one, get one free sale. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be back tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's a Tuesday, and on Tuesdays we talk to Armando Marsal. So Armando will join us at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll talk some Monday Night Football as well as reviewing some of the early waiver wire guys with Armando on the show tomorrow. In the first half hour of the show, we will focus more directly on the world of baseball. We still got a week left in the regular season. And yes, floating flowers. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, everyone, for being part of the show today. Tell a friend, spread the word, and we'll see you back here tomorrow on Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com. I'm Ray Flowers. Have a good one.